So hi, welcome to the January F1 webinar. Welcome back, everybody. I don't know if you're back in school already or if you're getting ready to go back in school or if you just graduated, but we're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lisa Taylor. I'm a recruiter with Conexus MedStaff, and joining me is Cynthia Ellis, another recruiter
Hi,
on our team.
glad to be here.
We're so happy to be here. We love our opportunities to talk directly with our students and see what we can do to help support them and let you guys know what we can do to help you achieve your American dream. So what we're going to do today is just sort of go through a quick presentation, talk to you a little bit about who we are, what we do, why we do it, and how that might be beneficial to you. And then we will open it up for questions and answers. So I hope you can enjoy it. I hope you appreciate the information, and we will be very excited to speak with you when this is finished. All right. So who is Conexus MedStaff? We call ourselves much more than a recruiter. And the reason we do that is because even though we are a leading nurse staffing agency, and we do specialize in hiring and matching excellent international nurses with acute and long-term care organizations in the US, we are much more than that. We are a support system, and we're a family, and we're an organization that genuinely cares about your ability to be successful here in the US once we've helped you achieve that goal. So we invest in you, we invest in our clients, we invest in the patients that you will be helping by providing you all sorts of benefits, including furthering your education, employment opportunities, training. So we have a lot to talk about. We'll get moving, but that's just so you know who we are, Conexus MedStaff. We are an agency, but we are more than that. We are definitely a family for you to join. First question, why would you stay in the US as a nurse? Well, you're already here, and you may have already answered that question for yourself if you're interested in staying, but we desperately need you guys to stay. So we are in a situation with a nursing shortage. You may be fully aware of that. I'm sure they've talked about it in your classes, but at the point of time that we made this slide, 1.1 million additional nurses were needed to avoid further shortages. Actually, this number has gone up quite a bit with COVID, the realization that, lower staffing models and the early retirement of many nurses, and some nurses realizing maybe this wasn't for them, our numbers are just going to increase. So we do believe that employment opportunities for nurses are projected to grow at a faster rate than all other occupations through 2026. It's going to be higher than 15% at this point. And we also have the highest number of Americans over the age of 65 that are retiring. So we have an age group that is needing more healthcare and needing more assistance and needing more nursing care. But also a lot of those 65 and up Americans are nurses. And so we're seeing a lot of turnover from people who have a ton of experience moving into retirement, and we need people to come back and learn from them. So our process works really well, but we do like to first show you a few pictures of some of our nurses on deployment. So these are all F1 students. Well, I think some mixed F1 and international nurses, but we have a lot here who are joining us, and you'll see that we do a lot of social events together. One of the things that Conexus likes to talk about is that you're never by yourself. We do not like to send nurses out by themselves. We want to make sure you're going somewhere where other nurses are who are experiencing something similar to you, whether you have a young family like one of these pictures, or you're single, you're trying out an adventure in the US. If you'd like to be with people who are going through the same situation, then we can definitely do that. We have a lot of events, breakfasts, we have socials, we have barbecues, pumpkin carving contests, Christmas parties. We do have a lot of excuses to get everybody to come together because we think that it's really important to build your support system like that. In order to apply with us, you do need to be attending a higher level nursing program from an accredited school. I would assume most of you are already doing that, but you want to be pursuing, we will work with an ADN, ASN, or BSN. and you have to be preparing for or have already passed the NCLEX. So we are very happy to speak to anyone at any point in time during their educational process. If you have just started school and you're thinking you might go into nursing, if you have just graduated and you never considered how you would achieve sponsorship, we'll talk with you at any point in between those 4 or 5 years. So step one, you'll apply. You can do that on our website, ConexusMedStaff.com. If you haven't been there, you should spend a little time there. It's a great website. It's very nurse friendly. I think that this is one of the ways that we stand out from some of our competitors, is that our website is actually focused on the candidates and not the clients. So you'll see that Conexus really is here for the nurses. You can also go to our Facebook, which is a great Facebook to follow. It's Conexus MedStaff LLC. It will always be the first place where you can see updates on sponsorship news, priority dates, visa bulletins. If anything major changes, that'll be one of the first places we announce it. So it's a really good follow. And at the end of this presentation, my information and Cynthia's information will be available. So you'll be welcome to call or email us directly if you think that would be easier than starting the application process first. Next step, you'll interview. So you'll be scheduled for an interview. Actually, what you'll do is you'll get a link that allows you to put yourself on Cynthia or my calendar at the best time for you, what's convenient for you. We know you have clinicals and classes and lives, so work around that and see when we can speak with you. And you could also be placed on the schedule of another recruiter on our team. Her name is Steffi John. All three of us are fully capable and excited to speak with you and talk with you about what your goals and your vision of the future is, and talk with you a little bit about your experience in clinicals or other nursing experience. Third thing you have to do is you have to trust Conexus. We will send you a contract should everything in your interview go well. And when you've had time to look through it, to ask questions, to share it with a loved one or someone you trust for advice, you can always come back to us and we'll help you understand why it says what it says. It's a very clear-cut contract. It's very fair. And once you sign it, you're telling us you trust us to help you get there. And we are going to talk about all of the different ways that we can help you get to where you want to be and why you should trust us. I'll let Cynthia talk about immigration. She knows a lot about that, and this is probably the most important part of the presentation when you're talking about learning to trust Conexus, is that this is how we will help you get to that goal.
So welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you today. So you're probably wondering, so how does Conexus assist on your OPT? Because I actually have a question already that says my OPT is for 12 months, but the contract is for 2.5 years. So we will file for you, and we prefer to have that whole 12 months of your OPT. So speaking of OPT, that is the first step of your immigration process. Most DSOs do not have a problem with an ASN or a BSN working as a staff nurse. Where the issue may come in is if you're getting a higher degree, possibly not in MSN, but in informatics or community health, that may not equate in order to have an OPT as a staff nurse. So that's number one. Make sure that you can work as a staff nurse and that your DSO knows that you have a job lined up. Step two in the immigration process is completing our award-winning INNP program, which includes the US Ready program for F1 students. This is a condensed program that we have made for our international nurses, but there are still some things that you may or may not have received in class. They probably touched on it, but delegation and escalation and a few of those things that you might not be quite ready to handle as a new nurse. So we'll not present you to one of our clients until after you've passed your NCLEX and you know that your OPT has been approved. And you may be wondering, why is that? Why can't I get a job assignment right now? Well, I personally made a mistake about 4 years ago when we first started this program, and I presented a nurse that I was so excited I just knew he was going to pass his NCLEX. Well, 4 tries later, he did finally pass his NCLEX. But as you know, there's that waiting period between each time you take your NCLEX. And by then, the facility that we had him set up with no longer wanted to wait for that. So we did place him, but it was still a little touch and go for us with him. He is my learn that lesson once. So we do wait until after you pass your NCLEX, and then we move on from there. Okay, because one of the very first things that our clients ask us is, when can this nurse get here? I need them yesterday. So we want to be able to give them a good idea as to when can you be there. We do ask you to be prepared to move quickly, because between the time you take your NCLEX and your OPT starting, we want to get you moved as quickly as possible. But there are some obstacles in the way. We do want you to meet with your operations manager on the ground when you get there. So they have multiple facilities that they have to deploy nurses to, and so you'll work with them as to when the best time is to come, but be prepared to move quickly. Then once you do pass your NCLEX and have your OPT approved, you will have a client interview with the facility. Now, this will take place by the phone or on video, like we're chatting now. We'll prep you prior to your interview and give you information about the facility, area, and other nurses on the ground there. Sometimes we even connect you with someone who's already on the ground if you're not quite sure if you want to be there. Once placed, we'll start the credentialing for that location. So even before you move to that location, if you end up not getting a multi-state license, we make sure that you're able to work in the state that you're going to. Okay. If you do have the opportunity to apply for a multi-state license in the state that you're going to school in, we do always encourage that, because many of our facilities are in multi-compact states. But after you start work at your facility, here's the meat of the immigration. We will file your I-140 petition for your green card about 3 to 4 months in, which is why we request the whole 12 months if possible. We will file for you premium processing, and we should get an answer within 4 weeks. That's USCIS's guarantee to us by filing premium processing. Now, that answer could be an approval. Yay! We're always excited about those approvals. But it could also be a request for further evidence. It could be a NOID, a notice of intent to deny, or it could be an outright denial. Most of these statuses sound scary, and I know that, but please don't be concerned about it. We have an immigration team that has more than 30 years of combined experience, and they've overcome worst odds. I like to say that even with the RFEs and the notice of intent to deny, we still have more than a 95% approval rate for your I-140. Speaking of the immigration team, it is important to know that they are in our office. We don't send your paperwork out to a law office. We have them right down the office, right down the aisle from us. So if you have a question and you're not getting it answered, you can call either Lisa or Steffi or myself, and we can walk over to the immigration desk and ask your question for you and get that answer. Now, that's important because you want to be able to not be concerned about anything in your immigration process. Now, this past year, as I'm sure you're all well aware, has been anything but normal. In fact, for the first time in 6.5 years, last March, other nationalities retrogressed. And that had never happened before in the length of time that I've been working with Conexus. But priority dates became current as of October 1st, and that's good news because that means that it's a quicker process as far as getting your I-140 approved and then filing for your adjustment. You may be wondering what that means to you. So once your I-140 is approved and we can file for your adjustment, your priority date has to be current. Your priority date is based upon your nationality, your country of birth. So even if you are a UK citizen, let's just say, but you were born in the Philippines, your nationality priority date is based upon the Philippines. Okay. It is the adjustment that will give you the status to continue to work. So in answer to that question that's hanging out there, because of the adjustment, and we receive an EAD card based upon employment, you are able to continue to work for us. Now, what happens if you don't receive your EAD prior to your OPT expiring? So there's many scenarios here, and be sure that the operations team as well as the immigration team are ever mindful of that date that you have to stop work. We have had nurses that have had to stop work. Some have only had to stop work for a couple of weeks. One, and this was awesome, he had to stop work one day and his EAD came the next. And so then he was out just one day. But each individual case is individual. So what happens for one person doesn't necessarily happen for another. You will not have to return to school or leave the country if we have already filed for your adjustment of status, which is why that priority date is so important. Sometimes you just have to wait until that EAD is issued, and we'll let you know, the operations team, your operations manager, the immigration team, your case manager, they're going to let you know what your personal situation is. Everyone's is different, okay? I don't tell you any of this to scare you. I do know that it is a stressful year waiting for that I-140 approval. I will say that nobody guarantees an I-140 approval. If somebody is guaranteeing you an I-140, please run the other way as fast as you can. Even if you don't come with us, please run away because that is illegal to guarantee approval. Conexus will pay for all of the nurses' fees. However, if you have dependents, this will be shouldered by yourself. Our wonderful immigration team will do all the work for your dependents, but you do have to pay the government fees for them. If you don't have dependents, no fees, no costs to you. We shoulder everything. I will say that this is a very stressful year in your life, and Conexus will be there for you. In the end, it is 100% worth it. I'll never say immigration is easy. If it were, everyone and his brother would be doing it. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. Lisa, do you want to talk about the vision, mission, and values?
Definitely. Thank you so much, Cynthia. You always have so much information about immigration, and it's such an overwhelming topic and can be intimidating for our nurses, especially if they haven't had the opportunity to work with someone who knows a lot about it. So I think at the very least, Conexus is an amazing partner to have through this entire situation, through your entire journey. Someone who can help you keep up with the important days and times that things are due. Someone who can help you understand what it means when you're sent something that says notice of intent to deny. That's a scary title for a piece of paper to come in the mail, and no one wants to think about denial. But what you don't understand is that things like this are sent out all the time. And even though I wouldn't say they were common, our team knows how to deal with them. And it's something that, you know, they can help you sort of understand the difference between what feels very personal to you and what is not personal to U.S. immigration. They're two very different things. And it's very hard when it's your life and your situation to look at it with an unbiased opinion and try to figure out how to best handle whatever the situation is. So I think it's really essential that you have somebody with you that you trust who can help you walk down this crazy path of immigration, and we always hope that it will be smooth for you, that there will be no twists and turns or bumps in the road. And sometimes that does happen, and it's awesome when it does. But if it isn't smooth, you're not going to want to be by yourself on that path. You need somebody with you who can help. Why we do what we do, I think this is really important. So we have a vision, we have a mission, we have values. Every company should have these posted on their website or posted in their facility somewhere. The difference is that Conexus spent a ton of time coming up with how to put our vision and our mission and our values into words, because these are not things that were created and then a team was built around them. These were created out of how successful our team has been. So we're very proud of these terms and the way they're put together and what they mean all together. And you guys can spend some time on our website looking at them. But I will say our vision, I think, is the best one to read out loud, which is that we are one team passionately improving the well-being of communities, one nurse at a time. And we love that because we do work as one team, one family, one Conexus. You will be carried through our team throughout your journey here with Conexus. You will get to touch all kinds of people throughout the time, but you will always have a connection back to whoever it is you'd like to speak to again. Even though you may not know it, you've already been talking with our marketing team through finding out about this event and registering for it. You're talking with us now. We're hoping that all of you become part of a further conversation with recruiting, and that you'll continue through our immigration team, who, by the way, is our director of immigration is an F1 who's done this before. So you'll have the opportunity to meet with people who know exactly what you're going through every part of this, and with people who have held the hands of others who have gone through this. And then you get to meet our operations team, and they're so awesome. And we're talking about people who are lifelong friends. So it's important to understand that when we say we have a vision, this really is our vision of what we do. This is our vision of how good it can be if you come and join Conexus. We think from the day you join Conexus that you will be happy with us. It may not always be smooth sailing, like we've said, but you know what? We are there to fight for you. And your end goal is our end goal. This is what we want to have happen, is what you want to achieve in your dreams. We are dedicated to your growth and career as a nurse. So again, we talk about covering your immigration fees, your filing fees, your sponsoring. We handle everything for the nurse. Everything that you may need, we are there to help you through that. We will help you navigate it. We'll help you correct it. We'll help you initiate it. And we will help you achieve that end result. Our clinical education team, which Cynthia already kind of touched on, this is awesome. I love that as an agency, we have a clinical education team. And what that means is we have clinical educators on the ground available to you through phone, through email, through Zoom. They're there to help you. So one way that they do help us is they have created an award-winning educational program. It's called the US Ready program. It's an online module-based learning program. It is created from issues that we saw pretty commonly throughout international nurses that were working with us, that just helps you concentrate a little bit more on things that you may not have experience with as an international nurse or as a new grad. So things like documentation, learning your EMR, practicing that, things like HIPAA and patient privacy. So many of these issues can be huge problems for new nurses, and you may not even realize that you're doing something wrong. So this is where our team can come in and help you. We also give you access to unlimited free CEUs while you are under contract. So that means that your license will stay current, but also you can decide on a subject and explore it yourself, investigate it, train yourself, learn more. We have all of our facilities that have agreed for an extended orientation if necessary for you. So you start orientation like everybody else, excuse me, and then excuse me. And then once you've completed orientation, you may stay with a preceptor a little bit longer, just to make sure that you still feel comfortable with what's going on and they feel comfortable with you working with patients one-on-one. It's really important to have something like that, in particular with the current climate, because you can be dealing with some pretty acute patients right away. In addition to this, it's something that we don't have on our slide yet because it is brand new, but we're very excited to talk about it. It is the Earned Scholarship Opportunity. So when we have nurses who we feel really fit the vision, mission, and values of Conexus, who really exhibit that and live that on a daily basis, we would be happy to award them with a scholarship toward further training, further education. So it could be working on a certification like a wound care certification, or maybe you've gotten an ADN and you'd like to do an RN to BSN program. We can help with that. These are ways that we want you to understand that we are supportive not just of where you are right now and what we've agreed to do, which is help you on the sponsorship path, but also for the future. Once you have a green card, we don't want to just leave you. We want you to have achieved your goal of achieving sponsorship and to feel that you are secure and safe and steady and ready to live a successful life here in the U.S. as a nurse. We provide ongoing support throughout your entire time under contract, and to be honest, after that as well. Everybody stays in touch. So what we do is we prepare you for your arrival here, not just in the US as it says, but actually in your different locations. It's not that common that you would get placed exactly where you live right now. That's a little too coincidence if that were to happen. So what we do is we offer you relocation. We will help you with that. We'll give you some money to either plan your own relocation if you're driving, or if you need our help, we'll help you with that too. And then once you arrive in your location, either at the airport where we'll pick you up or at a hotel where we've gotten you a room for a few days, our operations managers will be there to tell you everything you need to know about your new home. So they will show you around, showing you everything that you might want to find, from the driver's license bureau to maybe getting a bank account if you need to set one up. They'll show you where there are furniture stores, grocery stores, the movie theaters, the gyms, the church that you're looking for. Whatever's important to you, just share it with your operations manager, and they know enough about that area to help you. They'll also show you where you'll be working. They'll introduce you to the staff there, and they'll hold an event like a dinner or a breakfast where other Conexus nurses from the area can come, and you can meet them all and learn who's going to be there to help you get through the ups and downs on a daily basis, whether it's on the floor or in your apartment. And speaking of apartments, we also help you with that. So we'll help you find a place to live where you feel safe and secure. Usually it's where other Conexus nurses are living, and we will secure the first 30 days rent for you. We'll take care of that. When we talk about putting you where other Conexus nurses are, it's really important, but it's part of what we call our Conexus buddy system. In association with that opportunity, we do also offer the opportunity to try and place you and anyone you refer, or a friend who's coming with you on this journey. We will do our best to put you in the same location, so we can work with you on trying to set up possible roommate situations or something like that. We just had 2 nurses featured in a newspaper article that were placed together who were roommates in Texas and are now in West Virginia. So when you arrive, the operations managers will give you $1,000. That's for setting up utilities, buying groceries, whatever it is that you might need. And of course, we'll pay that first month's rent. The relocation for anywhere in the US is $1,500. That's something that, like I said, we allow you to manage if you like. We do offer paid time off, 200 hours per contract. It's not given to you immediately. It's something that you earn while you're working, but it's a fair amount. It's very comparable, and it's an opportunity for you to take a break, get away, maybe take a weekend to go see somewhere else in the US that you'd like to see. And then we offer the opportunity to work overtime. Because our contract is for 5,000 working hours, every hour worked in that facility counts towards your contract. So whether it's a scheduled shift, an overtime shift, or you were on call and you got called in to work, those hours will go towards your contract. We also provide an amazing referral bonus program. Trust me, you want to know about this. For every person that starts, not only will you receive a referral bonus, but they will actually get a little bit of money just for being referred. So it's a really good system. We will offer you all kinds of benefits that every other job in the world would offer, including, of course, health and dental insurance, which will pay 60% of your deductible on that. And then we do pay 100% of all work-related insurances, things like liability, malpractice, stuff that you have to have covered if you're working in the US. Here are the values that we've talked about. I know that it may be possible that my screen is covering one of them, but I'll go through them with you. We are passionate. We have integrity. This is where we say we're transparent as a company. You will hear what's happening from us in the truthful words of what is actually happening, and we will walk you through and help you through anything that may come up, good or bad. You will get the update from us. We have integrity. We offer care and support. Like I said, throughout your entire time with Conexus, you will have the ability to call any one of us that you've spoken with throughout the journey. You'll have your operations manager available the entire time you're under contract. You'll have other Conexus nurses to connect with. You'll have anybody that you may need, including the immigration team, and the ability through our immigration portal to check the status of your case whenever you have a moment. It's updated in real time, so you can log on in the break of your overnight shift and check it at 3 a.m. and see where your case stands. You don't have to wait to speak to somebody to know what's going on. We are a family. Conexus MedStaff was started by a father and son, and that idea of working as a family together to help other people achieve their dreams persists. We are definitely the Conexus MedStaff family, and once you're with us, you'll be with us forever. We are driven by growth, not just the growth of our company as a business, but actually the growth of you as an individual. Your skill set, your ability to help others, the way that you're saving patients on a daily basis, we want to see you grow and learn and achieve more than you ever thought possible. And we are grateful. We are so grateful for the opportunity to do what we do on a daily basis. The fact that we get to help people on so many levels. We help you achieve your dreams. We help our hospitals stay in business, and some of these communities desperately need those hospitals to stay in business by providing nurses who can help patients who need help. We are able to help these patients beyond, and who knows whose lives they touch when they leave the hospital. And we are so, so grateful for you guys for attending today and listening to us talk. I would love to answer your questions now, but first we're just going to put up our contact information here. Cynthia Ellis, who spoke about immigration, that is her email and phone number. I'm Lisa Taylor, that's my email and phone number. Both of these phone numbers are cell phones if you prefer to text. And I think Cynthia will be able to look at our Q&A now.
So first I want to reiterate that first question that we had coming in about I am eligible for 12 months of OPT, and if I choose to work with Conexus, which will be approximately 2.5 years, what happens once the 12 months is over? So you would receive an EAD based upon employment to finish that contract out. So along those same lines, the next question is, if my I-140 got denied the first time, can Conexus help me reapply for it again? Absolutely. And that is one of the reasons we do like 12 months in case that does happen. One thing I do want to say about that is not only will we reapply for you, but we're not going to charge you any money for that either. You're not going to be asked to shoulder that. We shoulder it. It doesn't add any hours to your contract. Your contract is for 5,000 hours, and it's just part of doing business. So if we were to get a denial, we will pay for you to file again. We don't give up on you until you give up on us. The next question is, as an international student, do we get clinical educator in case we have questions?
Yes, absolutely. Our clinical educators are always available, and we even have them on the ground. We have a clinical educator who is living in the North Carolina area, but she's always available for Zooms, for calls, for emails. And I do believe that when things settle down with COVID, there'll be some travel for some training in different areas with her and maybe the rest of the clinical education team. So yes, you have access to her. And the really great part about the clinical education team is that you have access to them if you're struggling in a certain area where you're placed, and you just can't grasp a concept and you really feel like you're flailing a little bit. The clinical education team is there to help you. If you feel like you have nailed this nursing thing, that you have got it, you know what's going on, and you can only see the future, and maybe you're working in med surg and you'd like to work in critical care someday, reach out to our clinical education team and they'll help you figure out what you can read and what you can study and how you can prepare yourself for that eventual chance to try something new.
So this next person has asked several questions. And the first question is, for F1 students with dependents, do they have to wait to complete the green card process to come over, or should they seek a visiting visa in the meantime?
I just asked this question to Veronica today. Veronica is our director of immigration, and I wanted to be sure that I was clear about this. But if that spouse is living in another country, then I do believe that they would have to wait until the permanent residency process is complete. And that's, I think, what the answer that Veronica gave me today. Cynthia, I'm not sure if you have more to add to that.
So let me clarify just a little bit. It doesn't start the process after the green card, but they can't go to their embassy interview overseas until after your green card has been issued. Okay. But so it's not like you have starting over again for their green card.
Yeah.
Also, is there consideration for students with kids in terms of placement, access to school for them?
All of this is considered. So I want to be sure that you guys understand that when we talk about placement, we talk about deployment, we're not talking about putting your name on a dart and throwing it on a map. We make our decisions and our as a company, we make our determinations about where you're going based on a lot of what you have to say, your input and your circumstance. So while Cynthia and I are not part of that decision, that actually goes through the operations department, what we can tell you is that we have many nurses on staff who have children, who have dependent spouses, who have one or the other, not necessarily both, but we do take all of that into consideration, and we will be sure that by the time you arrive in your location, that we know which school your area would be zoned to, how to enroll, what the timing on that would be. It's all part of what operations does to provide you the most seamless transition that we can.
So just as an aside to that, Lisa, so we have a nurse that just recently finished her contract who actually has both of those situations. So her spouse was overseas and her children were here with her. And she has just recently finished her contract with us and has referred more people to us. So therefore, if it's something you really want to talk to a nurse about, we'll be glad to connect you with someone. So your last question is, do I need to take the English proficiency test after schooling in the U.S. for the visa screen?
Well, it's not about whether you were schooling in the U.S. or not. Unfortunately, the USCIS, for immigration purposes, does require an English test if you received any sort of nursing education outside of the U.S. in a non-primarily English-speaking country. So if you went to school in the UK, in Australia, Canada, something like that, we can talk about it. It's probably not necessary. If you took nursing classes back home in Kenya, the Philippines, Germany, wherever you might be from, then we would have to go through that again. Conexus MedStaff does, though, provide reimbursement or pay for one English proficiency exam per candidate. So if you've recently taken it because of that, or you plan to take it, let us know, save your receipts, and we would be happy to reimburse you that expense.
Yeah, we never know what CGFNS is going to come back with.
Exactly.
The next question, Lisa, is do you have the option of choosing which state you want to be deployed to? Or is the deployment based on job availability only?
The deployment is based on job availability and your preference. It's a combination. So when we talk about in our that first slide, when I say, we're much more than a recruiter, we are consistently matching qualified nurses with open opportunities. It really is a match. What will happen is all of the information you've given Cynthia or Steffi or myself throughout that interview will be sent over to operations. They have an awareness of real-time open availability. When you are ready to be deployed, they will take a look at what they have open and what those needs are and what that looks like. And then they'll take a look at what your skill set is and what your preferences are. And then we do our absolute best to match it. I would love to say that we are able to match everyone's desires 100% every time. Unfortunately, it's life and it doesn't always work like that. But what I want to remind everybody is if you think about your life and you think about all of your goals and dreams as a pyramid, and up at the top of the pyramid is exactly where you want to be, your vision of the future, of the perfect career, please do not forget that there has to be a base of the pyramid. And for your situation as an international student, the base of the pyramid is sponsorship. It has to be there. It has to be established for you to achieve all of these goals. So if you have to start in a location that you didn't necessarily think was number one, a unit that you didn't think was number one, keep in mind that every nurse who works with Conexus walks away with amazing experiences, with amazing opportunities and great resources. You can start your base on whatever it is that you weren't necessarily super excited about at first and work your way up. And Conexus can help you do that with things like our career pathway contract, with our clinical education. You know, we can get you there, but it may not be their number one first day. And to be honest with you, I don't know a lot of people who get to graduate college and start in their dream job day one. It does happen, but not always. So just bear in mind that we're there to support you through the whole process.
Well, it's ironic, Lisa, that you touched on that career pathway, because our next question is what happens after my contract with Conexus is done?
Well, why don't you talk about that, Cynthia? You're our career pathways expert.
So there are several things that could happen. If you're at a facility and you like what happened, what's going on there, and you want to stay, you may hire on with that facility full-time as a full-time employee. And we'll be right there to congratulate you and help you along your way. You may also say, hey, this was not my dream job. This was not my dream location. I think I want to try something else. And then you can come to us and we have a career pathway that will allow you to move to another facility or another unit, and we'll get you prepared for that. And that contract is different than our contract for sponsorship because it's only, you can choose a 1-year contract, you can choose a 5,000 hour contract. If you choose a 1 year, you can sign as many of those 1-year contracts as you wish. Or you may even say, I didn't like where I was, I don't want to do Conexus, but I want to go somewhere else. And we'll just wish you luck on that pathway. We'll even give you some advice along the way if you want to know about licensing or locations. We'll be there to write those letters of recommendation for you at the next location. So here's one. How do I deal with failing my NCLEX the first time and I have to wait the 45 days for my second attempt? And by that time, I'm 90 days into my OPT start date.
This is an awesome question. This is not a situation that anybody wants to think about. Nobody wants to consider that. But I just want you guys all to remember that at the end of the day, the NCLEX is a test. That is, it measures how well you take the NCLEX test. Some of us are better test takers than others. It was never exactly my strength in school, but I understand that it's essential for working in nursing. So it is stressful to take it. We all recognize that. We all know that. What you need to remember, and this is kind of where what I was saying about having a partner in this process can really come in handy. So what you need to remember is that your year of OPT is all about timing. There's the timing of when you apply for OPT. You can apply for it no earlier than 100 days before you graduate. If for some reason your school wants you to wait or you wait, you can apply for it no later than 60 days after you graduate. We recommend 100 days before you graduate, go ahead and apply, work with your DSO, make sure you have a good relationship with that person, no matter what, that they know your name, that they're willing to help you out if something happens. When you apply for your OPT, I would request a start date 6 to 8 weeks from graduation. I know Cynthia touched on this a little bit earlier too, but bear in mind that your school has to create transcripts. Those transcripts have to be sent to the Board of Nursing. The State Board of Nursing is on a COVID skeleton team right now, so it can take them a little bit longer to get things out. Pearson VUE is on a COVID skeleton team right now, so everybody's moving at a little bit slower pace. And it's better to know that your OPT is probably not going to start until after you've taken it. So if you graduate May 15th, then I say try for July 1st if you can. If they
That's
don't let
usually
you,
the latest that they will let them
yeah.
push it out.
Yeah, if you can push it out, you can. If you can't, if they say no, it has to be before July, then pick the latest date you can. It will help you in the end. That's if you haven't taken the NCLEX. If you have the NCLEX, you can request a start date within
Earlier, yeah.
a couple of weeks. Once you take the NCLEX, if you do not pass, then you do have to wait 45 days to request a new date. And as the question mentioned, you have 90 days to start work once your OPT starts. So this is where it really helps to have somebody like Cynthia, Steffi, or myself that you can call and just say, I'm having a panic attack. I don't know what to do. I didn't pass my NCLEX. Everything's terrible. And we can say, no, it's really not. We can work with this. So what we would do is we would encourage you to find a volunteering position somewhere or find a position working somewhere, and we can go into detail with you and your personal situation with that. You don't have to be working as a nurse because you don't have the ability to work as a nurse without the NCLEX, but we can push you in some directions that have been very successful in the past. We can also push you in the direction of some of our NCLEX partners that have been very successful in helping people pass the NCLEX. And at the end of the day, we can be ready to move forward. Now, when you pass after the second time, you may have a shorter amount of OPT to work with. And that means we may be looking at something like a pause in your career. You may not get your second EAD in time to cover the first one, so there may be a gap there. But all of these are things that we will talk with you about way ahead of time. You'll be prepared. We'll have a plan, and we'll all work together to still help you achieve your dream. Just because you failed the NCLEX does not mean you immediately have to get on a plane and go back home and all of your chances are gone. We are here to help you through all of those bumps in the road.
That's what I said. It's stressful.
Yeah.
So this next question, Lisa, is when is the recommended time for a student who has about 5 months to graduate to apply to Conexus?
Today. Apply today. If you're in your last year of the nursing program, if you expect that graduation will be May 2021 or December 2021, this is the perfect time to interview. Some people will want to wait to sign their contract until after they've passed their NCLEX. I strongly suggest that you go ahead and interview with us and sign a contract before. I think the latest you should be signing a contract in order to have the smoothest transition possible would be around the time that you apply for OPT. So about 100 days before graduation. So if you're graduating in May, within the next 2 months is a really great time to interview, get the contract, and still feel comfortable enough taking some time to read through it and get your questions answered. The last thing any of us want is for you to sign a contract under duress, under the feeling that you don't have any time, under the feeling
And you don't
that
have any options.
Yeah, you have no other options. You just passed the NCLEX and everybody else has started work, and now what do I do? We don't want that to happen. So we suggest earlier, sometime within your senior year.
Does being a beneficiary of a family-sponsored visa affect my I-140 application?
I'll let Cynthia answer.
I'll answer that one. No, you can have as many different applications as you want. But if you are under a family-sponsored application visa, then we might talk with you because it might be easier for you to get your green card based upon the family application as opposed to the employment-based. But we can still work with you and place you and get you where you need to be. How long after my program completion is best to have my start date on my OPT?
6 to 8 weeks really is good
At
to,
least.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you can get is good.
So we have had some people that graduated in December. They're now working on taking their NCLEX, and many of them have their OPT starting February 1st, February 15th. I even have one, I think, that's starting March 1st. So, just be sure you're taking that into account. Talk with your counselor at school as to when are they going to apply. December's a little awkward just because you have the holidays in there from graduation, and sometimes things don't get done before the holidays. But talk with them, talk with us. We'll be glad to help you with that. Go ahead. I'm
just
sorry.
real quick, because I said May 15th, I'm still thinking old school way. I know a lot of you guys are graduating in April this year, so just apply the 6 to 8 week rule to that. If your graduation is April 30th, then look at, June 15th.
How long after my program completion is best to have my start date? Okay, we just did that one again. So does my sponsorship expire after my contract with Conexus is done?
No, this is your sponsorship. This is your permanent residency. I love this part. This is yours. You worked hard for it. We just helped facilitate it. You're the one who's bringing skills and experience to our country that we desperately need for our patients. You're the one who wants to be a part of us. We want you to be a part of us. So this is yours. It's permanent residency. It's a green card. It's considered EB3. It's not an H-1B. It is not based on where you work. It is not based on who you work for. It is yours, and you can keep it and renew it again when it expires in 10 years, or you can pursue citizenship.
So how often do you have people that don't get their green cards when working with Conexus?
That's a good question. I know we have an over 90% approval rate, so I would say less than 10% of the time. And sometimes...
And usually... Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No, I was going to say sometimes that's a denial, but it's usually more complicated than that.
Usually it's the nurse who says, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. And I would say that, we have quite a few F1s that work for us and have received their green cards. So I would say, like you, less than 10%. And most of the time, that's the nurse saying, I can't take it anymore.
And that can be for, a lot of reasons. If you have a family emergency back home, if you have responsibilities that, you suddenly feel you have to go and complete. Sometimes it can just be, I really don't want to go through this process anymore. I'm tired. Whatever it is, that we're there to talk with you through it. We want to be sure that you're having conversations with us before you make any major life decisions like that. Bear in mind that we're here again to partner with you, that you're not going to get in trouble for calling your operations manager and saying, I'm a little stressed out. I'm considering my options. What should I do? They are prepared to have those conversations with you. So as long as you're talking with us throughout the entire thing, I think that we can help you achieve the ultimate goal that you're trying to achieve.
So for students that are working using their OPT, what are the options if the OPT expires while the green card application is still processing?
So this is something, it's very hard to kind of grasp how this works because it should make more sense, but it's just the way immigration works. So your OPT is not your status. You are an F1 status with OPT that gave you an EAD. Is that enough letters and numbers that don't make sense? As an F1, you're a student. You have been granted OPT, which is a year of work. And with that comes 1 year EAD, which is a card that allows you to work. As you're working with Conexus and we're filing for your I-140, you're on that EAD. You're taking those days down. You are going through that year. Once your I-140 is approved, Conexus files for an extended EAD. So another year separate from your OPT that is a Conexus year of employment. So it should pick up where the other one leaves off. That is the ultimate goal. We do our best to make that happen. Sometimes it doesn't, but we'll work with you on that. Sometimes they overlap the other way. You'll get one before your other one's expired. But either way, we will keep you working throughout the green card process. So to clarify, the green card does not take 1 year. It takes longer than that. It actually kind of coincides with that 5,000 hours that we talk about. But that first part of the process will be on your school-based OPT EAD. And then where that stops, we pick up and we carry you through the rest.
So Lisa, we're about out of time and we still do have a few other questions. I do want to answer this one question and then we'll get to the rest of them via email if you don't mind. But it says, can we leave the country during our contract? Say family emergency, vacation, etc.
Lots of different ways to answer that. I'm going to let you talk about that one because I know it varies.
It does. So while you're on your OPT, it is not recommended for you to leave the country. Once you receive your EAD based upon employment, it will have your advanced parole. And once you get that advanced parole, that card will allow you to leave the country. If you have a family emergency, it's always best to contact the immigration team to make sure that you're not going to do something, you're not going to leave the country and not be able to get back in. So we are right 4:58.
Really good questions.
Really good questions, and still a couple of that are hanging out there that we will get to you individually.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Happy 2021. We are so
Yay!
excited to work with each and every one of you. Please encourage your friends that may or may not know what they're going to do with their sponsorship to contact us. Don't forget our referral bonus. We will be doing another one of these in the future, so we will keep you updated. But if you are in your last semester of nursing school and you are looking for sponsorship, please contact us. Now is the perfect time to interview. So thank you so much.